All right, all right. Let's see. I'm doing a mic check 1, 2 for audio. Looks good. Mic check on streaming. Looks okay. And mic check on Instagram. Awesome. All right, y'all. This is Tara-Nicholle Kirk. I am the metaphysician. I'm also the founder and CEO of Soul Tour, where I coach and teach smart, successful people how to be their big selves and do their big dreams before they die. Um, I'm a master self actualization coach, is what I am and what I do. And so we're here today because it is Transformation Tuesday. I just got back home from the Atlantic's In Pursuit of Happiness Summit where I taught a session, and we had this very interesting realization deep into having promoted the session that my session was not streamed. You actually had to be in the room to see it. But I know a lot of you came in and were trying to see it and trying to figure out what was happening. So, what I thought I would do for today's Transformation Tuesday is an encore of the talk that I gave yesterday at the Atlantic's In Pursuit of Happiness Summit. It was called Daily Rituals of the Radically Fruitful. Daily Rituals of the Radically Fruitful. And it's brief. But it's good. So buckle up. All right. So radically fruitful is the name. It's the way we talk about work at Soul Tour. It's the way I've talked about my own work for a really long time. As some of you know, I have 3 children who are neurodivergent with a huge age gap in between. I have like now a couple of homes in a couple of places. I have 2 businesses, Soul Tour, and I own a 9 round kickboxing studio at Lake Merritt in Oakland, California, 132 East 12th. I write books, I have lots of stuff going on. And at this stage, I'm working about 30 hours a week, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less some weeks. But radically fruitful is the way I talk about and think about work. And it rejects the old idea of productivity. It originally, Radically Fruitful is also the name of a corporate program we're starting at Soul Tour. We're looking for pilot partners right now. And it very organically developed out of the work we've done with over 50,000 individual people, smart, successful people who came to us because they were hiding their light or they were holding themselves back. They had chronic patterns of feeling unfulfilled, or at work in particular, wondering if there was more out there than this, feeling pulled in all directions, unclear about who they really were and exactly what they want out of life. Many of them really feeling that terrible feeling that their work equals their worth, which is a very short path to feeling that work is very empty. So we believe that we can transform entire companies and industries and maybe the entire institution of work by leaping out of this paradigm, not shifting out of a paradigm, leaping out of the paradigm that says humans are resources that should perform, conform, and produce to be of worth. Instead, we want to take everyone with us into this energy where we create in our work at 50 to 500 times the fruitfulness as we used to, because we radically accept and we radically align with the natural ways creation happens in our world. And we radically accept and radically align to the way humans work, including and especially their own unique spirit, their own unique soul, their own unique callings, their own unique genius. So, if you've listened to me talk for long at all, you know that I'm a real big fan of naming the elephant in the room. That's kind of my jam. So, in the talk yesterday, I had a slide at this stage that said, it was a quote from Drew Carey. It says, Drew Carey, the comedian, yes. It says, "Oh, you hate your work? There's a club for that. It's called Everybody, and we meet in the bar." All right. So the elephant in the room of work right now is that the pandemic didn't just change work conditions, it created a spiritual crisis within the souls of humans. Many, many people thought about their own mortality, contemplated their own death for the first time, maybe ever. Time to do the things that you've always wanted to do started to feel really, really short. And people started to ask themselves the very appropriate question, why am I spending so many of the precious moments of my life doing shit I can't stand with in toxic, company cultures? And that's why we've seen the great resignation, which I think we should be calling the great recalibration. And, to harken back to the Drew Carey quote, you hate your work? There's a club for that. It's called Everyone, and we meet in the bar at 6. Like, yo, why are we okay with this? Why are we as employees are not okay with it? That's been clear. But why are employers okay with it? Why are companies okay with this? I think that we've grown, we're like the frog in the pot collectively. We've grown okay with this because we don't know what the option is. And there is an option. So if you've ever read any poems from the Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran, his masterwork was called The Prophet. It's beautiful, it's long, it's worth reading. It's like a book almost length. But there's this one section he has called On Work. And there's this one mic drop in that one section where he says, and I know work is love made visible. Work is love made visible. So all what I see happening right now in the workplace is a bunch of people out here trying to make changes on the surface, not realizing that all these alignment changes, trying to align to a new way, require first a paradigm change, require first a vision change, right? What are we recalibrating to? And I think what we should be recalibrating to in terms of our vision for work is from required to inspired, from required to inspired. Think about your children. Think about the energy that they have when you give them a list of shit they have to do that they don't want to do versus when they're inspired to do something because they either just like doing it or because it's a step on the journey to something else that they're inspired to do. So if we're going to shift as a culture, as a workplace culture from required to inspired, we have to get okay with the real, which is that people are not cogs to be optimized. They have souls and spirits and conditioning, and their lives are sacred. So their work should be too. The precious moments of their work life should be too. All right. So I am here. I was at the Atlantics conference to ask the question, what would be possible for us if we could even take a step toward making this shift? What would be possible is what I'm calling radically fruitful. It would be possible for us to become radically fruitful as individuals and as teams, as organizations. And the cornerstone of being a radically fruitful human is ritual. It's ritual. So I am talking about behavior change that builds the practice of taking a sacred pause so that you can stop reacting, tap back into your natural strengths and powers, and realign the work you're doing and the way you're working and the thoughts you're thinking and the words you're saying and the words you're typing off your fingertips. Side note, don't send that email. Don't send that email. That's for somebody heard that and knows that it was for them. All right. So we need to realign those things with our own unique zones of genius. And all rituals are just the difference between a habit and a ritual. A habit is just something you do mindlessly because you've domesticated your brain into doing it. And that's appropriate for some things. A ritual is something you do that brings a higher meaning or magic or delight that's maybe illogical and not even, linear, but is beautiful into your experience. All right. A ritual is like a frame you can put around a thing you do that marks this moment as special and different, not mundane. So I shared with them really high level 4 daily rituals of the radically fruitful. The first of which is Creator's Hour, which is the daily ritual that I teach in most of my programs. I actually guide my students through it 4 days a week. 6 days a week. There are 4 parts to the Creator's Hour ritual. The first is sitting. Call it meditation if you want to, but problem with meditation is that people think there's a right and wrong way to do it. So sitting is to just sit still and dial down the pace of your thoughts. Maybe 10 or 20% is all you need at first. Then we do free writing. And I'm going to double click on free writing because if there were only one portion of the 4-part Creator's Hour ritual that you could do, it should be free writing. And by that, I just mean brain dump onto the page. Do it however you want to do it. Write it longhand in a journal. Do it in a Google Doc. Doesn't even do it in notes on your phone, whatever works for you. But the idea here is to first get out all of your past grudges and grievances. Get out all of your future anxieties, fears, things you're dreading, and even things you're excited about, right? When you get that on the page and this on the page, you come in, you naturally come back into your very, very powerful right now, right? And the other idea for this or objective for this practice is to turn off your inner censor, your inner editor, your inner critic for just a predictable amount of time every day. And what I find in teaching these is that often people have these very inspired, divine downloads, golden threads of ideas, moments of clarity, answers to questions they've been asking will just come out naturally, unbidden, without trying, after they clear all that other stuff out of their minds. All right. Then, so the Creator's Hour ritual, the daily ritual is sitting, it is writing. Then we do declarations or affirmations. And that's a spectrum. Some people, depending on where their spiritual preferences lie, some people go, this is prayer and declarations and affirmations. For some people, it's just kind of declarations. For some people, it's like reading their goals. For some people, it's all of them. All right. And then after we do daily declarations, we do some form of physical movement. This is not a workout. They are prescriptive little doses of physical movement that are designed and proven to get your chakras, your energy, your creative powers turned on for the day. So if you'd like to see kind of what one of those looks like, Google the 5 Tibetans. It is a 5-part it's 5 individual yoga postures, really, is what it is, that you do in these like repetitions and an intentional sequence that will turn your chakras on. And once you start doing it, it works, because what happens the day you stop. You're like, whoa, I better do my Tibetans tomorrow. All right. So that's Creator's Hour. We've talked about free writing. And then I'll talk about surfing the UGG. Okay, so in like the Buddhist therapeutic addiction world, there's a practice called surfing the urge, which is about surfing the urge of your addictive cravings. Well, I have translated that for y'all into a practice we call surfing the UGG. All right, because it is my observation that the fear of unwanted outcomes and the fear of unwanted emotions and the fear of unwanted criticism is responsible for an entirely wild amount of the drama that occurs for people at work, within them, and between people. So surfing the UGG is just a way to start educating people about what to expectation management. When you start practicing good boundaries, when you start having hard conversations, when you start upskilling in this way so that you can be radically fruitful, you're going to have fear arise. So people need to know that fear is like a wave that they can surf. It's not a thing you have to react to or stop doing what you were doing that sparked the fear. It is a wave. It starts small, it builds, it crescendos, and then it dies down. And all of that wave will happen. It will go away, even if you never change anything about the path that you were on. Even if you go ahead and take the intellectual or creative or business risk you were gonna take. So surfing the UGG is a daily ritual of the radically fruitful. All right. The last two I'm going to talk about together: segment intending, which if you've heard any Abraham Hicks in your life, you've probably heard that phrase. If you're, a Bible person, you've heard that verse about writing the vision, making it plain. If you've heard me talking lately, you've heard me starting to talk about Cameron Herold's book, Vivid Vision. It's kind of the same thing, So on the playground, all the other parents are like, be careful, be careful to their kids. And I'm like, be intentional, London, be intentional. What's your vision? I'm asking her that all the time. What's your vision? What's your plan, but more vision? What do you want to have happen? That's all segment intending is. Every time you shift from one segment of time to another, and the segments can be whatever is meaningful to you. If you shift from year to year, quarter to quarter, month to month, week to week, day to day, meeting to meeting, hour to hour, literally, every time you shift, you have an opportunity to define your intentions for the time segment that you're coming into. All right. And when you do that, I don't mean this in a way that's like trying to be manipulative of what you want other people to do in that time. What is the experience you want to have in that time? Right? When you do that, you start to pre-pave that set coming segment of time for the outcomes that you desire in a couple of different ways. In one way, just by focusing your energy and attention in the direction that you want it to go, that does a lot. And you find if you when you start segment intending regularly, if you're also like journaling daily, free writing daily, and reflecting on how it goes, you quickly see, oh wait, other people are acting differently. Like she came to the meeting after acting differently than she used to act. Now, people are like, oh, magic woo woo. No, there's literally, I mean, it is magic and woo woo. Yes. And also, there is in neurobiology, there is a um, reality called mirror neurons. So, whatever energy you bring in your brain, in your physical gray matter brain to a meeting or to a quarter or to your team, they will experience mirroring of that in a neuronal level, not even just the energetic, vibrational, spiritual level, but both. All right. The other way segment intending works really well is that it sort of gives you a chance to gracefully, spaciously, and in a non time scarcity way to work out some of the inner kinks, to work out some of the inner conflicts, misalignments, needed resources that are missing. It allows you to kind of get out of being that lever pulling director of the universe that has to make every single thing happen on their own. And instead, you can start to use my fifth daily ritual, the Radically Fruitful, which is the alignment inquiry. And the alignment inquiry is just this, it's asking yourself this question. Here's what I want. Here's why I want it. Here's what I intend for this segment. What's not in alignment? Right? And that's a powerful question to start realigning. And then we can get into way more and we do get into way more systematic ways of doing alignment work, but you can get really far in aligning everything about your business and your life just by asking that single question. What's not in alignment? So I just invite you to join me in the knowing that every crisis presents an opportunity, a portal, a turning point. um, it presents an opportunity for you as an individual and for us as a collective to change direction and to do it by allowing the disruption that's already been happening to our personal mythologies, to our mythology about what work looks like and means and feels like, allowing that to change our course with intention. So those are the daily rituals of the Radically Fruitful. If you liked this video, please like it, please share it. If you're on a channel where you can subscribe or follow and you don't yet, please do that. And you'll see much, much more of me in the coming days. All right. Keep your head up, keep your heart out, and I'll see you next Transformation Tuesday.